Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Wings of Fire book review. Today I'll be reviewing Book 7, Winter Turning by T. Sutherland, told by the perspective of Prince Winter of the Ice Wings. Before I get started with talking about what I liked and what I didn't like and the plot and all that stuff, for those of you who have not read this book and want a clearer idea, the blurb says daring mission or deadly mistake. Winter has been disappointed to his royal Icewing family his whole life. When his sister Icicle runs away from Jade Mountain Academy, fleeing terrible crimes and possibly planning to commit more, Winter knows that they both need a second chance to make things right, if only he can find her. Winter's new clawmates, Moon, Kinkajou, and Killy, won't let him make this dangerous journey alone. They don't seem to understand that Icewings, the most superior of all dragon tribes, can fix their own problems. When their search leads the dragonet straight into Queen Scarlet's vicious talons, Winter's grateful to have some help. But even the bravest dragons can't follow him to the Ice Kingdom, where he'll have to face the greatest threat of all, his own family. So Winter is sort of split between two worlds here, and he wants to live up to his family's name, being a prince and all of that, but he also wants to have a chance with his friends. And he's sort of holding himself back, like he's trying to forcing himself to want to act like a prince and be a first circle ranking Icewing. I'm not sure what ranking he is in at this time. I think he is first circle. I can't remember, but he's high ranked and he wants to live up to that. And so in the book, he does try and find his sister, and his friends tag along, and then he tries to think of it as like an advantage, like, oh, they can help me. He's not thinking them as this is an adventure with his friends. You know, he's trying to find his sister, and ultimately his sister is trying to find their brother Hailstorm because they think he was killed by Queen Scarlet and maybe the Nightwings, because back in book 1 there were Nightwings, Marosir, and the others. They killed all the Icewings there, or so we think. And so this is sort of Winter's quest. And right away, that is one con I have with this book, is that this feels like a side story. We don't really get to see much more of the talesman that Moon has. We don't get to talk about Darkstalker very much or get really into the prophecy. This feels more like filler, but it still leads up to what happens, although I feel like it could have gone either way. Like, this is just sort of the events that happens with these characters, and then I don't want to spoil anything for book 8, but it's sort of like that was happening at another time. Like, there were just two different plots happening at the same time, and this was just what Winter was going through. Now, I do still really love his book. I love his thoughts, because, like, he's trying to hold himself back, but a part of him does, like, he loves Moon, and he's having a hard time admitting it. You know, he appreciates Kibli's help, and even Kinkajou, as bubbly and sparky as she is, he appreciates what they're doing for him, even though he doesn't do much for his friends. He doesn't really consider them friends at this point, but by the end of the book, he knows what matters to him, and that's what's important. That's where we see character growth. And so with the plot, this is just a basic idea. I don't want to get too much into the details for those of you who don't know, but spoiler warning. Winter goes out and tries to find Icicle. And they do, once they go through the cave to the island, the old Nightwing Island, and Icicle is hiding there. They find, like, clues as to why she was there. And she was there to keep herself awake with the heat, because she knows that Scarlet has one of the 3 dream visitors, and Icicle doesn't want to know or be told by Scarlet that Hailstorm is dead. They don't want to find out that their brother is dead. And because Icicle is also afraid to speak to Scarlet, since she didn't kill Starflight or Glory, who Queen Scarlet very much hates and dislikes. I would like to point out, while they were in the rainforest, while the gang was in the rainforest, that I like this moment with Winter and Glory, where Glory points out how important it is to have friends even if you don't want them there, and she sees the benefits of that, and Winter is in that same position, and I appreciate how Twee paralleled that between the two characters. So that was a plus for me. When they tranquilize Icicle and take her back to the Rainforest Kingdom, my memory's a little fuzzy on what happens because it's been a while since I've read this book, but they try to go find the Talons of Peace, and so this is where we see Riptide. I forget why they try to find him. I think they're trying to find Scarlet and, well, kill her. And they also try and meet up with some of the Skywings from the Talons of Peace. I think Avalanche is one of them, and then Pyrite is another. Avalanche leaves and doesn't help them, but Pyrite is a very unusual Skywing, Moon points out, and so they think that she would be able to help them into finding Scarlet, since Pyrite is incredibly loyal to Scarlet, and is all for Skywings and her tribe and supporting them. So everyone already knows, like, something's a little fishy about this dragon. And so one night while they're out, Winter and I think Pyrite or somebody, they end up finding Scarlet. I forget how, but they find that Scarlet is working with another dragon, and so they run back, and then the big dragon, a Nightwing that she's working with, ends up attacking Kinkajou and gets her seriously injured. Yeah, I can't really remember the exact order of events of how this happens, but Winter knows that Hailstorm is out there and is alive after eavesdropping on Scarlet. And so after that point, they get rid of the Nightwing, or he flees after attacking him. And Winter actually gets burned for the first time, like by their campfire. He gets thrown onto the fire and he's burned for the first time, which is an interesting moment, I suppose. But yeah, so Winter, they try to help Kinkajou by getting her to the healers, and I'm not sure if this point they find out that Hailstorm is actually alive, but it's because of Pyrite and what she's wearing in her necklace, and so they fight to get it off of her, and so that's how they get it off. And so then Hailstorm comes back, and he's alive, and he's very much confused. He recognizes Winter, and, you know, because he knows he's his brother, but he feels like he's a Skywing because he's been casted under a spell for 2 years. So they thought he was dead, but he wasn't. He was another dragon entirely, and I found that twist very interesting. And at one point in the book, Winter puts the necklace on himself after ripping off a part of the scroll to not have certain parts of the spell on him, and Kibley is like, how do you feel, Winter? And Winter, over the course of this book, is very annoyed with Kibley, but they find common ground in certain scenes, and so we get to see what it's like in the perspective of Pyrite at one point in the book. And she's a made-up character. Like, she is written, and she's a spell, basically. She's not real. So I find that very interesting in how we get to know Pyrite. I don't think we ever get to see Pyrite again after this, but it was an interesting moment. And, you know, Hailstorm he is not looking good, and I feel like that's good writing because, you know, being another dragon for 2 whole years, you know, you wouldn't get used to yourself. You kind of forgot yourself and you think you're someone else, and it's really hard to, you know, change to who you were before when you feel like you were someone else. And so I feel like that was good writing on Tui's part, because Winter is like, let's take you back to the Ice Kingdom. So he ends up leaving his friends to help his brother, and so he goes back to face his parents. And while Winter is there, like, he knows, like, he could try and help the prophecy and stuff, because that's the ultimate goal that his friends have, or acquaintances. So fast forward a little bit, and Winter takes Hailstorm home to the Ice Kingdom. And Hailstorm does not want to return to the rankings and the wall and expecting him to be perfect again. But what ends up happening is that Winter gets moved to the top of the first circle for the Dragonettes, and Hailstorm, along with Icicle and his parents, are put on the bottom of the 7th circle. And that's like a wake-up call because, his parents want to have at least one of their Dragonettes, have a good standing. I'm not sure how else to put that. But anyway, so that's what happens. And Hailstorm wants to have a chance to redeem himself. He doesn't want his life to be put to waste. And so there ends up being a diamond trial that Glacier hosts. And so what happens is in this diamond trial is that one of them is going to come out alive after they try and quote-unquote kill a historical Nightwing that is said to be Prince Arctic's former mate named Foeslayer. And we all know Prince Arctic was an animus dragon who got killed by his own son, and everyone says that Foeslayer stole him to have animus dragonettes to help give the Nightwings an advantage. And so when they fight, Hailstorm, he doesn't want to kill his brother because one of the dragons needs to be redeemed, so Narwhal and Tundra don't have to live with the burden of how worthless their children are, because their royalty, they need to be quote-unquote perfect. And so Hailstorm and Winter come to an agreement while they're fighting this massive Nightwing to have Winter go into exile or leave while Hailstorm will walk out alive. And so they won't tell their parents that Winter is alive when Hailstorm walks out. However, with Winter, as he was hearing what the Nightwing Foeslayer had said while they were fighting, he wants to know more. He wants to find out the truth, since he has this hate towards Nightwings. And so he learns that Foeslayer was in love with Arctic and really did want to have Dragonettes with him. She didn't steal him at all. And so Winter learns the truth about what happened 2,000 years ago, over 2,000 years ago. And so he knows that Foeslayer, even though she's a Nightwing, doesn't deserve that kind of life because she didn't cause any of this. She and Prince Arctic just wanted to be together. And so Winter, out of the goodness of his heart, doesn't let her stay in chains in the diamond trial. And so Winter finds out that it's not where he is that makes him happy, it's who he's with that makes him happy. And so he decides to go back to his friends to fulfill the prophecy. This time Foeslayer will be with them. And so I find that very important for Winter to know what's important in his life and what matters to him. And I really like how Winter wasn't written as he actually is a stuck-up dragon, but no, he just feels like he should behave this certain way as an Icewing and to fulfill these expectations that the rankings have. So that's what happens in this book. And the epilogue, I'm pretty sure, it's written from Darkstalker's perspective, and he foresees how Peril, the Fire Scales dragon that we've seen in book 1 and book 5 and book 6 is going to play an important role in how this prophecy comes about and how Darkstalker may or may not escape from the mountain. And so then we go to book 8, Escaping Peril. And so I really enjoyed this book. It's how I got into the series in the first place, with Winter's perspective, and I feel like he was written really well. I feel like it did feel a lot like filler, but it does carry the plot forward, and I like what Tui did with the characters. I wish Turtle was seen a little bit more. We only see him in the beginning before he returns back to Jade Mountain, so it's not like the whole Jade Winglet is gone completely since Umber left and Carnelian is dead. RIP. So, yep, that's it for this book review. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in my next one, guys. Bye.